You're listening to the Online Business Blueprint, brought to you by PlatformLaunchers.com. I'm getting a little tongue-tied there. I'm John Stange, and it's great to have you with us this week, as always, because here we talk about building and growing and monetizing our online platforms. We talk about taking our passion, turning it into a platform so that we can earn a paycheck from it. And if you've got an online business that you're trying to get off the ground, or if you've got an idea in the back of your head for an online business that you would really like to give a good shot to it succeeding, we've got some solutions for you. You can find a lot of details at our website, platformlaunchers.com. Got a lot of tools and resources there. We also have a free 21-day platform development planning guide. You can also join us as a member for a couple weeks for free. All sorts of useful and helpful and free content over at platformlaunchers.com. But our theme this week is blogging. And as I mentioned to our group right before I started the podcast this week, blogging is a theme that I try and visit with some regularity as we talk about just the different things that have the capacity to propel your online business or your online platform forward. And this week specifically, we're going to be talking about the effect of blog posts on building traffic to your website. Now, if I ever have the privilege to interact with you in person regarding the world of blogging or online business or platform development, it really will not take a long time. Even if we're just talking generally about online business, it's not going to take a long time for you to get me on the conversation of blogging. That's not going to take a long time for me to get there because that's a subject that I absolutely care about. I find it highly valuable when it comes to establishing some of the building blocks of an online platform, and it's something that I really try and drill into everybody's mind, that it's such a useful and such a helpful way to build what we're building online. And in fact, just the other day, I listened to the testimony of another online entrepreneur who shared about the gradual progression of his online business. And he was talking about where things started, where things were after year one, then year two, and year three. And one of the things that he mentioned was the fact that while his platform grew gradually, and that's probably going to be the truth for the case for just about all of us, particularly if we're consistent in creating content, his platform not only grew gradually, but it also grew steadily. And the primary driver of his platform, he said, was his blog. Now, from a revenue standpoint, he kind of outlined some of the things that meant from a revenue area. And he said his business income more than tripled in his third year of operating his online business. And again, he attributes most of that growth to his blog. So let's not underestimate the effect of our blogs on building our online businesses or building our online platforms. Now, here's the thing. There are millions of websites that are attempting to build consistent online traffic. And at present, when I look at some of these things and when I see some of the approaches that the purveyors of these websites are utilizing, I see all kinds of methods that are being used to try and keep some of that traffic coming. But as you've heard me say before, and I'll say it again this week, there have been few things with as much impact on my traffic, on the traffic that I'm getting on my website, and few things that have had such a lasting benefit to my overall platform as blog posts. And when you craft these blog posts strategically, they can have a significant impact on driving traffic to your website. By the way, I'm going to give you a little preview of something we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but I just did a deep dive into the analytics of one of my websites, and I'm going to break it down for us here before I finish up this podcast on some of the percentages and related to the traffic that's coming through the blog posts. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But why do blog posts matter when it comes to website traffic? Let's just talk about that for a second. Why do these things even matter? By the way, blogging is more than just sharing thoughts and updates. It's a marketing tool. And what it does is it bridges the gap between your website and your target audience. It's usually your blog posts that are going to connect with that target audience and bring them to your website. And I want to suggest a few reasons why this works so well when you're attempting to drive traffic to your website. First part of it is this: search engine optimization. Search engines like Google, what they do is they prioritize fresh, relevant, high quality content. Just look just through a general Google search of what comes up. They're going to try their best to select the freshest and most relevant and high quality content that they can find, typically from the blog world. And when you take the time to regularly update your website with blog posts, what that does is it signals to search engines that you have some more material that they need to be indexing. And if they notice that you're regularly updating your website with new blog content, what that ends up doing is it increases your chances of appearing in search results because they treat your website differently than they treat static websites. They look at your website and they say, you know what, this is a site that's being optimized to actually show up here. They've got relevant content. They've got fresh content. And so you could do things like target specific keywords that's useful to do in your headline, useful to do in your first paragraph. You could do, different Q&As with your audience and answer some questions that are common questions that people search for. But when you do those things, what you're doing is you are significantly boosting your website's visibility. And that's what they typically call search engine optimization. You're optimizing it for the search engines. Another benefit of why blog posts matter when it comes to website traffic is that it establishes your authority and your credibility. And I've often said that if any of us have any hope of earning an income online, it's not going to come without establishing authority. It's not going to come without establishing credibility. Your income and my income online will always directly correlate to the authority that we've established. So when we write well-researched, insightful blog posts that demonstrate our expertise in our field, we're contributing to that authority. We're contributing to that credibility. And when visitors find value in your content, they're more likely to trust your overall brand and then share your articles and return for more information, all of which does increase, or it does contribute to increased traffic. Third reason why these things matter, why blog posts matter as far as search engine traffic or website traffic, is that they engage your audience. Blog posts allow you to connect with your audience in meaningful ways. You're addressing pain points. That's primarily what I'm doing when I'm creating blog content. Maybe you're doing that as well. You address pain points and areas of interest and questions that the people that you're serving have, and that helps create a relationship that engages your audience. Something else related to building this traffic that is useful to keep in mind are some of the supporting social media strategies that go with it. Blogs, what they do is they provide content that can be repurposed. And a lot of times I see people, it doesn't matter what platform I'm on. If I'm using X, I see this on X. If I'm using Facebook, I see this on Facebook. I see it other places as well. You have people taking content from blogs that can be repurposed and then shared across social media platforms. And each post becomes an opportunity to drive more traffic back to your website, especially when you compare it or when you pair it with some compelling visuals and curiosity-inducing headlines. When it's paired with those things, it does a really good job at increasing the traffic. It also does one other thing, and this is huge. This is bigger than what many people realize. Every time you create a blog post, you're creating an opportunity for somebody to share the link to that blog post. And if they dare share that link on their platform, what that does is it creates typically a permanent backlink back to your website. And high quality blog posts that are linked by other websites and they create those backlinks, it also makes you more visible to search engines. And it drives referral traffic, it improves your SEO, it improves your domain authority. All of that grows. And so that happens every time you create a new blog post. You're enhancing your backlink opportunities. Totally worth it, totally valuable. But now let's just take a minute here to talk about the benefits of blog-driven traffic. There are a variety of things that you might experience as benefits as you drive traffic to your website through your blog. One of them is higher conversion rates. Visitors who arrive to your website through informative blog posts, something that answers a question, they tend to be people who are more engaged in your overall content, and they're more likely to convert into customers or subscribers or leads. So blog posts, they really do contribute to higher conversion rates. They also contribute to improved brand awareness. The more you blog, the more that increases the chances that people are going to hear about the things you do, about your overall brand, and you're giving people more opportunity to actually encounter your brand just out in the wild as they do a variety of searches for content that relates to the content that you create. It also helps produce sustained traffic growth. And this is something that's kind of beautiful because I think a lot of people think that one of the main ways to generate traffic growth is through paid advertisements. And I have no problem whatsoever with paid advertising. I think it's got its place. But what happens when the budget runs out? When the budget runs out, that traffic, it slows down. But with blog posts, it's like you've got free traffic generators that exist on the internet like a piece of real estate. And I have to tell you that some of my best performing blog posts were written years ago. I have several of them that were written years ago, yet they keep sending people back to my website like clockwork. And I've been extremely excited to be able to see that and to watch as that's developed. They sustain traffic growth to my website. And again, they could also help build community, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. A few quick notes about how to optimize blog posts for traffic. Just make sure you understand your audience. Make sure you do a little keyword research as well. Just look and see what relevant keywords are actually out there related to your topic. Make sure your content is high quality. You want to make sure that what you're putting out there is actually something that represents your brand really well. But I'd also encourage you to focus on content that can be considered evergreen, something that if someone reads it 5 years from now or even 10 years from now, it remains relevant. Often I come across stuff online that's been there for a while, but it's so relevant that it keeps getting indexed in search engines. And when I look at some of my best converting blog posts, some of them, like I said a few moments ago, were written years ago, but it's evergreen. It remains relevant. And so search engines keep linking back to it. I'd also encourage you to promote some of your best blog posts. If you notice that something's tracking, make sure you promote it a bit more. Make sure you mention it a bit more. If you're a guest on a podcast or something like that, send people over to it. Encourage people to engage with it, and then look at your analytics because they're going to tell you something. Now, I told you at the start of this blog post, or at the start of this podcast episode, I should say, about blog posts, that I wanted to give you a bit of a case study. And it's a case study on one of my websites. And in fact, it's my newest website. Not long ago, so this is about a year and a half ago, I started a brand new site that is geared toward helping me share some of the faith-based content that I'm creating. And I decided to do it on a different platform and all sorts of things. If you want to find the site that I'm referencing here, it's BibleStudyHeadquarters.com. So BibleStudyHeadquarters.com. And I wanted to watch over the course of the past year and a half how the site was developing and how people were discovering it. Now, when I first started the site, as I'm sure anyone who's listening to us right now has noticed, when you're first starting a website, you don't tend to receive a ton of traffic unless you have something that's marketing it right away. But just organically speaking, you don't tend to receive a whole lot of traffic when you first start a site. And I did not expect to receive a whole lot of traffic right when I started BibleStudyHeadquarters.com. I knew I was going to have some work to do. I knew I needed to build online content and share some things around it. Now, at present, I'm happy to update you and to let you know that I am very pleased with the growth that I'm seeing. It's starting to hit some additional milestones, and these are things that kind of like boxes that I wanted to click off over the past year and a half, things like that. It's been growing, and now consistently, I'm noticing that the site is it's receiving typically a few thousand visitors per day, a couple thousand, somewhere in that range each day, and that number continues to grow quickly. And I'm like, all right, let's look and see what's contributing to this. Well, I looked at the analytics this week. I shared this with some of the folks that are part of the Platform Launchers Members Club. So some of them had the chance, if they were looking for this, to see a few of these details, but I'll share them here as well. according to the analytics, here's where the traffic is coming from. And I'm going to go from smallest to largest here. So smallest is actually visits directly to the homepage. So that's people that are just immediately going to BibleStudyHeadquarters.com, just typing that out right there in the address bar and going to it. According to the analytics, 6.51% of the traffic that the site has been recently receiving comes from people just going directly to the homepage. And I bring that up to you. That's only 6.51%. Just think about how some people never update the rest of their website or never add additional content, and they're only expecting people to come to that homepage. And I'm telling you that only 6.5% of my traffic has been coming to that homepage directly. The rest are finding it in different ways. Well, according to the analytics, 12.61% of the traffic has been coming from visitors who visit the blog's landing page. So this is the front page on my website of the entire blog. So not an individual post, but the front page, the landing page for the entire blog. That's 12.61% of all site visitors. So that's almost twice the amount that are coming to the homepage. So almost twice are going to the starting page of the blog more so than the homepage in general. But here's the biggest number. And this is the one that I most wanted to share and even kind of what inspired my topic this week. And that's this: 72.52% of the traffic is coming from people who are discovering individual blog posts through search engines, backlinks, and other referrals. So when you tally the last two that I just gave you, that means that a full 85% of the traffic I'm receiving is coming directly through the blog, which likewise means that if I didn't have the blog, that's 85% of the traffic that I'm receiving that I wouldn't be getting. I add one new article to that blog every single week. And as I look at this, that effort is clearly worth my time. Without the blog, that site would see nowhere near the kind of growth that it's been seeing. 85% of the traffic that I've been receiving to BibleStudyHeadquarters.com is coming through the blog. 72% through the individual blog posts and 12% from people just stopping by the landing page of the blog itself. Almost twice as many as visit the homepage just in general. Now, let me say this just kind of as I wrap up here and kind of summarize some of these things that we're talking about. Blogging is not a quick fix, but it is a great long-term strategy. And I imagine that for plenty of people, it can take a little while before they start seeing what they would consider substantial results. But what you'll notice, if you are consistent with posting something on your blog, if you follow the pattern that I've been following, so like in this context, with a new site, making sure that I'm blogging every single week with very rare exception, what happens is the benefits start to compound over time. And each time you post something new, you're adding to your library of content, and you're increasing your website's chances of being discovered by new audiences. And what ends up happening is over time, this steady growth in traffic, it leads to significant gains in your brand visibility, significant gains in customer engagement, and it can also lead to significant gains in revenue from the site. If your sites are anything like mine, and the truth is I imagine your sites are probably almost exactly like mine, but if your sites are anything like mine in structure and content, anything like that, you may discover that your blog may quickly become the main driver of your overall content. In this case study that I'm offering to you, something that I started, barely a year and a half ago. It's not even a full year and a half. This is something that I look at and I'm realizing that the blog is the main driver of traffic. That is how most people are finding the site. And it compounds and it compounds and it compounds. And I watch month after month as those numbers continue to increase. And if you follow that same pattern, a new post every week, letting that traffic continue to find you, letting the results compound week after week, what you're going to discover is that eventually your site is going to hit a tipping point and you're going to be absolutely shocked. You're going to be absolutely surprised with the amount of traffic that eventually that you receive. So again, this isn't a quick fix. It's a gradual process, but over time, what happens is just like all things, if you're consistent, it really works, especially if you're hitting on needs that your audience is looking for help with. So that being said, I just want to encourage you, use your blog, create content, and drive some traffic to your website. I also want to invite you to, again, stop over to platformlaunchers.com. You can check out all the stuff that we've got over there that'll help you as you build, grow, and monetize your online platform. Lots of stuff over there that I think you're going to find super beneficial. But that is it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. It's always a joy to be able to spend this time with you. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to catching up with you again right here next time. Take care.